Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your one-stop shop for all things Lakers. Today's show is brought to you by SimpleContacts.com. Just head over to SimpleContacts.com/LakersNation to get $30 off a prescription for your contact lenses, and eHarmony.com. Use the promo code Lakers and get a free month when you sign up for a 3-month trial. Well, the NBA season is winding down, but there is still a ton of news to go over, a lot of rumors, and a lot of things going around about your Los Angeles Lakers. So I brought in Hannah Kulik of LakersNation.com, back by popular demand. Hannah, thanks so much for hopping on, and happy Easter.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, happy Easter, everyone.
I guess by the time everybody listens to this, it actually won't be Easter anymore, but it'll be the happy day after Easter. But still, we can say happy Easter.
Happy belated Easter, everyone. I hope you all had an amazing day is my point.
You know, with this Easter, it was a fun day. You know, went Easter egg hunting and all that kind of standard stuff and all that, hung out with family and everything. But man, that Lakers versus Kings game was definitely a downer way to end the holiday, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, it was so frustrating, Trevor. But you know, these last little stretch of games have just been really frustrating in general. Even the games that they've won, they haven't looked the same. And obviously, you know, we know injuries have played a part in that. But it's just been really frustrating to watch because they just kind of look like they're going through the motions out there. They're not really playing with a lot of energy. They're not really, you know, giving that hustle that we've seen them give in the past. And it's really upsetting because I was really hoping that they were going to be able to finish the season strong, especially if we do want to try to attract these big free agents this summer. I thought that was something that was extremely important. So it's definitely unfortunate that it seems that we might not be on that track. Who knows? There's still, you know, a handful of games left, so hopefully they can turn it around. But yeah, tonight was just not a good night.
Well, yeah, and I mean, here's the scary thing. The Lakers end up losing to the Sacramento Kings by a point. No Lonzo Ball, no Brandon Ingram, no Isaiah Thomas. Obviously, he's done for the season. So no real ball handlers, nobody that can create for the Lakers. And so this was just an ugly, ugly game from start to finish. I mean, probably one of the ugliest games of the season for the Lakers, just sloppy. I mean, sloppy on both ends. The Kings were not looking good either. But the scary part is that if you look at the Lakers' schedule the rest of the way, it's the San Antonio Spurs, the Utah Jazz twice, the Houston Rockets, the Clippers. There aren't any games that jump out at you as winnable games. This was it. This was the last very winnable game, and they end up losing it by a point, turning the ball over twice down the stretch. And I think they only scored like one basket in the final 6+ minutes, and that was a last second 3-pointer by Brook Lopez, and that was it. Otherwise, they didn't score any baskets from the field. It was all free throws. So just an ugly performance. And I mean, you said these guys don't have a lot of energy. It looks like kids on the last week of school. Like if you gave them an assignment to work on, that's the effort the Lakers are putting in right now. It is not pretty.
Exactly. It looks like the Lakers have just already checked out and they're already on summer vacation. So not a good look. I'm not very happy about it. But I mean, again, you know, a lot of it does have to do with the injuries. It's always, you know, a huge blow to the team when Ingram and Lonzo are out. Those are two guys that we really count on every night to, you know, be able to, you know, lead our offense. So with those two guys gone, it's definitely difficult. And then obviously, you know, Isaiah Thomas as well, even though he was, you know, relatively new, it's still definitely hard. But I don't know. I just want to be able to see these Lakers have some energy for the rest of the season. I know it's going to be hard, but, you know, at the end of the day, they're young guys and, you know, they've got a lot that they're still fighting for. So hopefully they'll be able to just try to get back to their high energy and start bringing the hustle back.
Yeah, my hope is that playing these upper-level teams will sort of spark them a little bit, will make them pick up the energy because they're going to get blown out if they don't. And they're not going to want that. And you don't want to finish the season that way. So I'm hoping that the energy level is going to pick up. At the same time, 82-game season, it is a long season, and you can see it right now. These guys are just dragging. They've had to play a lot of minutes because of all these injuries. I mean, we saw the team, they sent away Corey Brewer. He got a buyout. They are playing, you know, no Luol Deng is out there or anything like that. You're missing Isaiah Thomas, then you're missing Lonzo Ball's in and out, and Brandon Ingram's in and out. So a lot of guys have logged a lot of minutes, and it's really starting to catch up with them at this point. And yeah, like you said, I'm just hoping these last few games are watchable. I'm hoping we get Ingram back. I'm hoping that the Lakers can get Lonzo Ball back, and that we can see some potential, something to head into the offseason with some positivity, because right now this loss to the Kings definitely doesn't do that.
No, and I'm going to the game on Friday, so they better play well on Friday. Otherwise, I'm going to be very upset.
Well, now, I guess though, the question we really need to ask, Hannah, since it's been a couple weeks since we've had you on, did you happen to eat your famous pasta tonight?
Oh, no, I didn't. I actually...
Hannah!
I know. But, I had family over for Easter. And we had a little Easter dinner, but I was not able to. Trust me, I ate a lot, but it was not pasta. We ended up grilling. We had burgers and potatoes and all sorts of stuff, but pasta was unfortunately not on the menu tonight. So I'm sorry, Laker fan. I will take this one, Lakers Nation. I'll take this L.
There it is. So it's not the team being fatigued. It's not the injuries or anything like that. It was that Hannah did not eat her famous pasta, and so of course the Lakers end up losing in a painful way.
You know what? And no carbs, no energy, so that actually makes sense.
That is true. Okay. Well, we got to make sure that we fix that moving forward here.
I will. I will get back on my pasta grind. I promise.
Only a few games left in the season. You got to gut it out and have some more pasta for Lakers Nation.
Oh my goodness. I will.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about a few news stories that we've got to get to before we get to our listener questions. Interesting one here. Hassan Whiteside, the center for the Miami Heat. He was actually with the Lakers at one point a few seasons ago, and they cut him in order to sign Wayne Ellington, in order to keep Wayne Ellington around that season that we had Wayne Ellington. And then Whiteside goes on to kind of blow up for Miami, becomes a very good center, great shot blocker, gets a big new contract. But now what's happening, and we see this happen with the Lakers with Brook Lopez too, what's happening is the Miami Heat are starting to pull him. Coach Eric Spoelstra is benching Whiteside when other teams are going small. So he's doing that in order to match up, because Whiteside, as this big lumbering center, isn't going to be the best at chasing guys out to the three-point line. So Whiteside was not too pleased with that recently, and on ESPN, he was quoted as saying, a lot of teams don't have a good center. They're going to use their strengths. It's bull stuff. He said, it's really bull stuff, man. There are a lot of teams that can use a center. He's basically implying that hey, there's a lot of teams out there that could use me, and he's saying, hey, look, if I'm a good center and other teams don't have a really good center out there on the floor, why am I not out there dominating whoever they're putting out there, whether it's a small guy or whoever? And I mean, that makes some sense. If he's supposed to be the focal point of the team, shouldn't he be out there whether or not they are, whether they're matched up or not?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, when the Lakers played the Heat in Miami, I was watching that game and I was like, wait, where's Hassan Whiteside? He was practically invisible. So I understand that he's frustrated. I just think that, the game has just evolved so much where every team just really relies on the three right now. And unfortunately, he's a great shot blocker. He's a great rebounder. He's good at scoring around the rim, but he's not a three-point shooter. And unfortunately, in today's league, it's a little hard for guys to, I don't want to necessarily, say make it or be an NBA player, but it's definitely a lot harder if they're not able to be more of a stretch five or be able to knock down those threes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the game has changed, and I just looked, and I was pretty sure this was the case. The Heat actually did not have Hassan Whiteside the last time they played. He was out. I think he was injured at that point. So that was why you wouldn't have seen him then. But I think you're probably thinking of the game before that, the time before that they played.
There was one game where he was able to play, and I remember being like, what's going on? I'm not even noticing him.
Yeah, and he has made a name for himself as a big-time shot blocker, and he's made a name for himself as a force in this league. And so it's it is surprising that he really hasn't been able to stay on the floor. And part of that is because he can't really step outside or anything. Yes, okay, he played 19 minutes in the game before that, and that's the one you're thinking of. He only scored 6 points and barely got on the floor. So I guess this all really begs the question. You've got a disgruntled, solid player. Should the Lakers consider maybe going after him? Would Miami part with him? And is he the type of guy that the Lakers should go after with their cap space? I mean, they can't, if they aren't able to sign somebody, is that the kind of move they should make? What do you think, Hannah?
Well, I think this is interesting because if this was 2 years ago, I would be thrilled and I would say 150 billion% go for him. But now I'm just not really sure, and I'm kind of more likely against it. I'm a little bit like lukewarm, I guess you could say right now. I think a lot of this is going to have to do if the Lakers keep Julius Randle, then I don't think he's a good fit. Obviously, they both, play more around the rim. If Kuzma is the starting power forward, then it will fit a little bit better. I don't know though, Trevor. I'm a little iffy about it still. Obviously, Whiteside is known to be a little bit of a head case as well. I'm just not sure. It's kind of frustrating because if this, like I said, it was 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh my gosh, 100%. But I'm just not sure right now. What do you think?
Right. I mean, when Whiteside was a free agent a few seasons ago, I was 100% on board. I said, yes, go after this guy. Hopefully they can get him because he's the type of shot blocking big that you need in this league. He's pretty good at diving to the rim and finishing. This season, stats aren't bad. I mean, 14 points, 11.6 boards, 1.7 blocks per game, shooting 55% from the field, 70% from the line. Those are all very good. He is only getting 26 minutes per game, so that's not a ton, especially when he got almost 33 per game the season before. So his minutes are down, but his numbers are still very, very solid. But I think the big struggle here is, like you said, is the fit. He's not a Brook Lopez type guy where he's going to step out and shoot the three, and that's been key for Julius Randle. So I like the rim protection that he provides, but I think he would clog the paint a lot. And if you're going to keep Julius Randle, I think it's tough to keep or to go after a guy like Whiteside. I mean, it's the same problem that you would have with DeAndre Jordan, who's going to be a free agent this season. We've talked about signing him. You'd have the same issues with Hassan Whiteside where you just have no spacing on the floor if you run him and Julius Randle together.
Exactly. I mean, I think a lot of this is just going to depend on what we do with Randle. But right now, in my head, I'm thinking of Randle staying a Laker. So I'm thinking just right now, no on Hassan Whiteside, just because solely for the fact I really want to keep Julius Randle. So right now, I'm just picturing Randle still in the purple and gold next season, and that's where my main focus is right now.
And of course, this is all hypothetical. We don't even know what Miami would want in exchange. I mean, certainly the Lakers would have to give up something, but Whiteside's contract is not great. I mean, he's going to make $25 million next season, and then he has a player option, unfortunately, for $27 million for the following season. So that would mean if the Lakers can't land, let's say the Lakers land Paul George, right, and then they're unable to get LeBron James to sign on, and they decide they want Whiteside to be that next guy, and so they're going to trade for him. Well, they would have to give up something in order to get him, but then that would also prevent them from being able to chase after, say, Kawhi Leonard or Klay Thompson or Jimmy Butler or any of those guys in the summer of 2019, because Whiteside would probably pick up that $27 million player option. So there's an opportunity cost there too for going after a guy like him. Not only is the fit questionable, but the opportunity cost of being able to go after a Kawhi Leonard type player is that's definitely something to consider. I don't think Whiteside is that type of player where you really want to break the bank for him and pass up any opportunity to land a true difference maker guy.
Exactly. And I think if we're really looking to add a center, I think our main focus should maybe be going to talking to DeMarcus Cousins and just seeing, if he's going to be able to be healthy. Because if so, then I think that's the center that we should try to go after, because he is able to stretch the floor and he would fit in great with our system. So, I mean, obviously with, his health issues, there's a lot of question marks regarding that. But I just think if we're going to go after a center and want to spend our money there, I think that's the player that we should explore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, even with the Achilles issue, that's DeMarcus Cousins would be a great fit next to Randle in terms of his shooting and everything. Defensively, there's some question marks, but certainly a better fit than Whiteside. And then when you're looking at a player like Hassan Whiteside, and you're looking at his contract and everything else that's coming up, he's a good player. He's a guy that I think would help you on the floor. But personally, I don't know about you, but personally, I think I would rather have Brook Lopez on a 1-year deal next season if they can convince him to take it, just because the fit is so much better. Not that he's a better player than Whiteside, but I think I would rather keep Lopez around for another season.
No, I completely agree with you on that, Trevor. I think Lopez has been playing really well, and obviously he fits in the system. He fits in with Randle. So at this point, I'm kind of leaning more towards a no for Hassan Whiteside. And I think just like you said, Brook Lopez I'd prefer it at this point, definitely. If you've ever tried online dating, chances are you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that just never turn into dates. I know for me personally, I have always been rather skeptical of online dating apps. However, that was before I discovered eHarmony. eHarmony is unlike many other dating sites. eHarmony takes steps that other dating sites just don't in order to find you a compatible match. They use years and years of science, data, and psychological research to send you the right matches and have helped over 1 million people find their perfect match. Right now, my listeners can get a free month with eHarmony when they sign up for a 3-month subscription. All you have to do is enter my code Lakers at checkout. So stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. Sure, it can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're really ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's only one app that's built to bring you real love, and that's eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. And don't forget to enter my code Lakers at checkout.
All right, so let's talk one more news story. Kawhi Leonard. He is still in New York, and he's rehabbing with his own doctors per ESPN. Now, Greg Popovich commented that, and he said, I quote, he'll be ready when, quote, he and his group feel like they're ready to go. And here's the part that got me. He and his group feel like they are ready to go. So it's not just Kawhi Leonard. It's insinuating that Kawhi has some people in his ear maybe telling him, hey, not to come back just yet. So it seems like there's definitely some smoke here between the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. I mean, they can try to play nice and everything like that, but it just seems like everything is not all rosy in San Antonio right now. So with this guy being a free agent coming up in 2019, the San Antonio Spurs could give him a supermax deal. That's a deal that's going to cost more than $200 million over the life of the deal. That's a lot. So far, we've seen teams balk at giving up that much money, right? We saw it with DeMarcus Cousins. The Sacramento Kings decided to trade him rather than pay him that much. Paul George didn't quite qualify for that deal just yet, but the Indiana Pacers decided to trade him, and it's questionable whether or not they would have actually given him that big of a contract. So the Spurs could, in theory, keep Kawhi and then give him that much money in the summer of 2019. I think they can even offer it this summer, and then certainly he would keep it. But I have to wonder, if you're the Spurs, does this not kind of make you maybe at least consider dealing Kawhi Leonard the way things have gone down this season? And if so, should the Lakers jump in here?
Yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a tricky situation because obviously when he's healthy, Kawhi Leonard is one of the best two-way players in the league and probably one of the top 5 just players in the NBA in general. But obviously he's been hurt since last season and something is very wrong with him. So you really have to be careful if you're the Lakers before trying to get him. Obviously, if it is something where he is available, you have to investigate it. But unless the Lakers are very sure about his health, which kind of seems unlikely right now. I mean, it just really seems like there's just a lot of question marks regarding Kawhi Leonard. Then I would definitely be reluctant, especially because if they're going to get him and, they're going to want to trade for him or whatever, the Spurs are going to want Ingram and Kuzma, or they're going to want the best the Lakers have. And I just don't want to give our best players up right now. I think it's just too early. I wouldn't do it. I really like this young team that we have, and I really am hopeful that we're able to keep all of them or as much of them together as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the Spurs are going to ask for an arm and a leg in exchange for Kawhi Leonard, and they should. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. But yeah, at this point, probably patience would be the best road to choose here, and just wait till he becomes a free agent in 2019, or at least hopefully becomes one. If the Spurs decide they're going to give him $200 million this summer, then fine, they're going to do that. But otherwise, you just wait till he hits free agency and then try to go after him then, rather than make a play for him now and then find out maybe there's something really wrong with him, or maybe maybe he's just not happy with San Antonio. This is just a weird situation. This situation and the whole Markelle Fultz shoulder situation have been the two kind of just mysteriously strange stories in the NBA this season. All right, let's move on to some of our listener contributions here. I'm going to kick things off because I had an email a couple of weeks ago. I actually meant to get this in to our last show, but Thomas Hedegaard, a guy from Denmark, emailed me and gave me this whole scenario that played out like this, where the Lakers are unable to land Paul George and LeBron James, and he's essentially asking, Well, should they consider taking on bad contracts? Like if the Houston Rockets need to shed salary in order to bring in LeBron picks Houston. Could the Lakers be that team to absorb some of that since cap space is going to be so limited this season and the Lakers are going to have a ton of it? Couldn't they make a killing by taking on some bad contracts by other teams and then absorbing assets or getting assets because of it? We've seen them do this before. When the Lakers took Jose Calderon a couple seasons ago, they got 2 second-rounders just for taking his contract. When the Lakers took on Jeremy Lin, I believe that was in 2014, I want to say. When the Lakers took on his salary, they got a first-rounder. Right? And that pick, I believe that's the pick that became Larry Nance Jr., if I'm not mistaken. So the Lakers have managed to do this in the past. And I guess the question is, would they consider doing this again, and should they? Should they do that, absorb some bad contracts in exchange for things like picks or maybe some young players so that other teams can sign some players? Or should they just focus on bringing in talent this summer and not tie up any of their room on salary that isn't going to be productive on the floor? What's your take on that whole situation, Hannah?
Okay, well, in my opinion, where the Lakers are right now, I don't really see any benefit to that. I think the Lakers obviously need to try to sign some players today. And if they can't, unless they can get someone who can really contribute to this team and really help and make a difference and really be like a major key player, I just don't see why they would ever really want to do that. I don't really think there are too many benefits for them at this stage. I think in the past when they've done it, it made more sense. But I think where the Lakers are right now, I don't think they need to look to do that. I think they really need to try to focus on just getting players this season, or if not, just bringing in players like, probably hopefully bringing back players like Lopez or KCP, or bringing in guys on just one-year deals so that they can try again for next summer. That's what I think the Lakers' game plan should be as of now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point when they're free agent hunting, they're going after superstars. They have to win. They have to prove to guys that they are a team that can win. And so absorbing a negative value, a person that can't really help you on the floor, that's not going to work. Now, if they get somebody that just has a big contract but actually still can produce, then maybe, and depending on what you're getting in exchange for absorbing that salary, maybe it's something to consider, but I don't think that'll be option A for them. I don't think that's going to be their first priority. So, but anyway, Thomas did send a long email that explained the whole strategy and everything, so I certainly appreciate him for doing that. We're going to take a quick break to talk about Simple Contacts. If you wear contact lenses and find yourself dreading that annual appointment to renew your prescription, then you're going to love Simple Contacts. It's a great new company that makes this annoying process very, simple. Simple Contacts lets you renew your expired contact lens prescription and reorder your brand of lenses from your phone or computer in minutes. Simple Contacts brings the doctor's office to wherever you are whenever you need it. You can take the Simple Contacts vision test online in 5 minutes. A real doctor reviews it and renews your prescription. You save time, save money, and save yourself a headache. And if you have an unexpired prescription, just upload a photo of it or your doctor's info and order your lenses in minutes for a great price. They do all the hard work for you. This is vision care for the 21st century. Simple Contacts offers every brand of lenses and their prices are unbeatable. The prescription is just $20. Compare that with the annual appointment, which can be up to $250 without insurance. They have some of the best prices on contacts and shipping is free. This is a no-brainer. Best of all, my listeners get $30 off their first Simple Contacts order. To save $30 on your lenses, just go to simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or enter the code LakersNation at checkout. I want to mention that this isn't a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. You still need those occasionally, but it is the most convenient way to renew a prescription and reorder your contacts if your vision hasn't changed. Again, check out Simple Contacts and get $30 off by going to simplecontacts.com/LakersNation or just enter the code LakersNation at checkout. Give it a try and thank me later. But all right, let's move on here. Hannah, you want to read the first Twitter question that we've got here?
Yes. Okay. So we asked you guys for your questions and you sent us some really great ones as usual. So first, thank you all so much for sending your questions. And the first one is from @LakeRamsZ. He asked, is Hart better overall than Clarkson? What do you think, Trevor?
Okay. So first of all, I saw this guy's Twitter handle, and I think it's a play here on the Lakers and the Rams. I think he put the two together. So we've got a Lakers fan and a Rams fan. So pretty cool there. Is Hart better overall than Jordan Clarkson? Well, two very, very different players. Defensively, yes. Defensively, Hart is a better player than Jordan Clarkson. Offensively, I think Jordan Clarkson is better at creating his own shot, and Jordan Clarkson is a very, very good player. I enjoyed having him with the Lakers. I think Hart is better shooting from three, better at spacing the floor, better in that sense. He's a better rebounder. So I think for what this Lakers team needs right now, if they had everyone healthy, Hart is the better fit. I guess that would be the way I'd have to answer that. But I don't want to say like Hart is the better player overall than Clarkson right now. I know Clarkson is a little bit older. I would say I think that Hart in a few seasons, when he's the same age as Jordan Clarkson is right now, which I believe Clarkson is 25 or 26. So if you give Hart 3 or 4 seasons here in the league, 3 seasons, I guess, in the league, that I would think that Hart could potentially be as good, if not better, than Jordan Clarkson is right now. I think it's pretty close, but just two very, very different players. Kind of hard to compare. I guess that's kind of a cop-out answer, but Hannah, what do you think?
Okay, so that is pretty much exactly what I was going to say. So I pretty much agree with most of what you said, except I think that we could really, really use Jordan Clarkson right about now, especially with all these injuries. We could really use his scoring ability right now. But that being said, I completely agree. They are just two totally different players. You know, Hart is more of that 3-and-D guy, and Jordan is obviously more of a ball handler and a scorer. I really like Josh Hart. He's probably my second favorite player right now. Besides Kuzma, I kind of like to root for the underdogs in case no one has noticed so far. So I really like Josh Hart. But again, this is only his first NBA season, and he's been injured a lot. So I think we're going to have to reevaluate this in a couple of years. I think he definitely has the potential to be, but I'm just going to need to see him play a little bit more before I can fully answer this question. So I'm kind of copping out a little bit too here, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. Like the Lakers, I thought about this earlier today too. If the Lakers still had Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr., I mean, obviously they win tonight's game against the Sacramento Kings. I think they probably pick up a few more wins this season. But, you know, I still don't think that was a bad trade for them. I still think getting Isaiah Thomas, had he been healthy, would have been a good fit and everything. And so plus they get a pick out of it and cap space and all that. So I'm still not down on that trade. But, yeah, as of this moment right now, it sure would be nice to have Jordan Clarkson in there to create for the Lakers. Moving on to the next one. At Chris Tiller 007, maybe a James Bond fan here. From a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Lakers season so far and describe the Lakers season in 3 words?
Okay, so first I have to shout this guy out. I think this is the guy I'm thinking of. He is just always so sweet to me. He's always like the first person to watch my YouTube videos and comment on them. And anytime I post anything or do anything, he's always the first one to comment and watch it or whatever. So thank you so much, Chris. If you are listening to this, I'm sure you are. I really, really appreciate you. All right, so this question. So first I'm just going to do the 3 words. How would I describe the Lakers season in 3 words? I'm going to say frustrating, exciting, and up and down. I'm going to say frustrating mainly because of the injuries. I think it's been really, really hard to watch these injuries, especially, for Ingram, for Josh Hart, and obviously Lonzo Ball. It's been really frustrating where they are playing well and they start to have a groove and the team starts to look like it's really getting its mojo and figuring out a system, and then those guys get injured and then they come back and then they get injured again. That's just been really, really frustrating for me, the injuries. Exciting. Obviously, we've had some really exciting victories. The first one that comes to mind is just the win at Houston. I think it was in November. It was more towards earlier this season. That was a really, really exciting win. We've had some really exciting wins. Obviously, Kyle Kuzma's been a really exciting surprise. I don't think anyone was really expecting that he was going to turn into the player that he is. And so that's always been really exciting, something I'm very happy about. And then up and down, just again with the injuries and just a lot of times kind of like we see it tonight. We've seen the Lakers put forth these great efforts and these great wins, and then sometimes they come out and they just kind of lay an egg. And that was obviously what we saw from tonight. So those are my 3 words to describe the Lakers season. And then in terms of rating the Lakers season from a scale of 1 to 10, I think up until this very disappointing last stretch of games, I would have rated them much higher. I probably would have given them more of like maybe, I don't know, maybe like a 7.5, maybe even an 8, depending on the day and the night. But I think I'm going to give them about a 6, especially if they continue to lose a lot of these last games to finish out the season. I think they've slipped down to a 6 in my book.
All right, fair enough. Solid reasoning there. Personally, I'm going to go 7. And as far as my 3 words, I'm going to use that to explain. I'm rather than do 3 separate words, I'm just going to make a statement here, and I'm just going to say 3 words here. Future is bright. Right? Those are my 3 words, because I think the Lakers' future is still bright. If you pan back, it's tough right now. It's tough seeing them lose by a point to the Sacramento Kings. It's tough seeing the team exhausted and on fumes down the home stretch and clearly looking forward to their break and all of that. But if you just pan back and you look at this season as a whole, I think it's been a very successful season. I think you've got some intriguing young talents. I think they've found a guy in Kyle Kuzma. They've found something in Josh Hart. You've added a draft pick for this summer. You've managed to bring in a guy like Lonzo Ball. You've changed your style of play. Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka have created, along with Coach Luke Walton, an identity. They are now the team that is going to defend like crazy, which their defense improved by leaps and bounds this season, and then run. They're going to run as fast as they can, and we're seeing that. They have the fastest pace in the entire NBA. So not only have they added some young talent, but they've created an identity for this team and for this organization. So again, I'm still optimistic, even though, yes, in this moment it's tough. I still think that things are definitely looking up, especially when you compare it to these last few seasons before this. And yeah, so I'm still optimistic about where the Lakers are at this point. All right, moving on.
Okay, I liked your 3 words because I definitely do still agree. The future is very bright. I'm very excited for these next upcoming seasons. I think it's, like you said, we really have figured out a lot this season. So I do agree with you there. Okay, so the next question is from @Spidey26. And he asked, with the emergence of Julius Randle this season, we, Lakers Nation, want him back next year. But do you think he will go back to his old ways, be the old Randle we saw in the past? Did he just perform for the new contract? Ooh, Trevor, what do you think about this? You're on, Randall Island. What do you have to say about this?
I'm on Randall Island. Okay, so I'll tell you this. My wife and I, and this is a tangent here, but my wife and I, we went on a cruise last October, and it was in the middle of preseason, and we went on a cruise for our anniversary. And I'm out there. I'm on this cruise. I'm wearing my Lakers baseball cap. And I'm at the bar, and this woman next to me starts talking to me about the Lakers because she sees my hat. And she's asking about how the team's going to do. And I mentioned that Julius Randle is just absolutely shredded. He's in great shape, and he's looked okay in preseason and everything. And she got mad. And she said something to the effect of, yeah, now that he needs a new contract, suddenly he's in shape. And she was upset with him and everything. And I get that. I get that line of thinking that Randle is only doing this to get his new contract. But I don't know. At the same time, I think, gosh, he's 23 years old. I didn't know what I was doing when I was 23 years old. It takes a little bit of time for you to figure things out. Sometimes it takes some time for you to figure out exactly what you need to do. A guy like Julius Randle has been able to just rely on his physical gifts for so long and get by on that and be immensely successful just with that. This is the first season we've really seen him put it all together, nutrition-wise, workout-wise. His skills, everything has kind of come together at the same time, and so that's been a big development for him. So I am hopeful. I'm very hopeful that this is not just a contract year thing, that we aren't going to see Julius get lazy over the summer. There's going to be a lot riding here, because if you're Julius Randle, you got to look at this as not only is this your contract coming up, right? This isn't just a contract year. This is who you're going to be in the NBA, because now you've got people talking about him, not in that superstar sense just yet, but he's kind of circling that discussion where people are really starting to see him as one of the best young players coming up in the league. And if he can grow again next season, then he's going to really start to develop a reputation in the league. He's going to start getting endorsement deals, and things like that are going to start popping up for him. So I'm hopeful that he's going to continue to grow at this level or at this rate now that he's figured out what he needs to do with nutrition and with his workouts and all that kind of stuff, and that this is not just a contract year thing. And maybe that's just me being on Randall Island and all that, but I'm going to hope that Julius Randle is not the type of guy that's going to just take his foot off the gas pedal once he gets that big new contract.
I don't think he is, Trevor, at all. I don't see him just playing this way because it's a contract year, honestly. I think from the moment the Lakers drafted him, you could just tell this was a guy who had, extreme potential. And he's a very unique player. I think he's a very special player. I really, really like Julius Randle. Obviously, he has had a breakout season. And I just think, like you said, it just takes a little bit of time. I mean, he's only a few seasons in, and, I just think obviously it's very rare where a rookie comes in and immediately is, one of the best players in the league. That just doesn't really happen. So I think from what we've seen with Randle, I think he's gotten better every year. And I think this year was obviously his breakout year. And I don't think this summer, if the Lakers give him a big contract, I don't think he's going to go back to, being lazy. I don't think he's going to take his foot off the pedal at all. I think he wants to be a great player. I think he wants to be a great player with the Lakers organization. So I think, in my opinion, if the Lakers were to give him a big contract, I feel like that would only motivate him further, that they would have the faith and that they would believe in him. I don't think Julius Randle's the kind of guy who's just going to completely stop once he gets the big contract.
Yeah, that's definitely the way I'm leaning with it too. He took a lot of the criticism earlier in the season, Luke Walton benching him, bringing him in as a sixth man, and he wasn't getting that many minutes and everything. He took some of that personally, and he used that as motivation, and now he's made it clear that you can't bench him. He's obviously the starter. He's clearly he's been the best player on the team. There's no getting around it. So yeah, hopefully that motivation level will stay nice and high for Julius Randle. The next one, Brian Cooper says, who would you guys rather have, Cousins and Paul George, or just LeBron James in free agency?
Okay, this question is a little tricky. I think there are going to be some people who are going to be mad at me and think I'm crazy, and I'm sure a lot that may agree with me, but I'm going to say Cousins and Paul George. I think we've talked about this a lot, but in my opinion, I just don't necessarily see LeBron James as the best fit for this team. And part of me is like pinching myself and being like, are you insane? Because obviously if you have the chance to get the best player in the world, you get him. But I just really think Paul George would be the perfect fit on this team. Paul George is from LA. I think he's a guy I just really have always wanted to see play for the Lakers. And I really like DeMarcus Cousins. So hopefully he would be able to be healthy. But even if we weren't able to get Cousins at this point, I think I would rather just have Paul George than LeBron James. I know that may sound a little bit crazy, but that's just where my headspace is right now.
All right, and I guess that, to given age and everything, that's certainly defensible. LeBron obviously is an incredible player. When I first read this question, I kind of thought the same thing too. I thought, okay, Cousins and Paul George. Like, you'd rather have two guys that are both really, really good, on the cusp of being superstar level players than just one superstar, even though it is LeBron James. But, you factor in age and all that kind of stuff. But then I thought, LeBron James, his max contract would cost $35 million. Then you bring back Julius Randle. You just keep his cap hold at 12. That still would give you, if you can do something with Luol Deng, that would give you a little bit of money to play with. Like, who could you add in addition to LeBron James that would come just because LeBron's in LA? So Cousins, Paul George, and Randle would eat up all of your space. Is there another piece that you could add? It's not really just LeBron James, because maybe you could add somebody else in there in free agency. So that's kind of, if I'm Magic Johnson or if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, okay, but who else can I get in addition to LeBron James? So it's a tough one. It's trickier than you would think just on the surface. I guess I would still have to lean Cousins and Paul George, but you never know who might take a discount to come play alongside LeBron James. So I think that's certainly something to consider. But overall, in order to keep the team's identity the way it is and everything, because I think once you bring in LeBron James, it's LeBron's team. Whereas I think Cousins and Paul George would more fit in to the Lakers system or the system they've been developing. So I guess I'll lean that way. And of course, it will mean that we'll get to bring back Julius Randle. And as a resident of Randall Island, I would be excited about that. Let's see. Next one. You're up.
Okay, well, it sounds like you really did your research on that. It sounds like you may have lost a little bit of sleep in the past over that question.
Yes, that probably happened.
I understand your thought process exactly for that. Okay, so next question is from, oh goodness gracious. All right, so I think this is how you say it, at MozJeff810, and he asked, do you think KCP is one and done, or do the Lakers have a chance to re-sign him?
I'll keep it short. Yes, they have a chance to re-sign him, but I think he is the least likely to come back out of the three of KCP, Isaiah Thomas, and Brook Lopez, with all three being free agents. I think he's the guy that is going to be looking for multiple years more than anybody else is. I think he's going to be really pushing for that. And so again, I think he is the least, and I think he's the least likely to come back on a one-year deal, which I think is going to be crucial. I could see Isaiah Thomas taking a one-year deal because of his injury, and Brook Lopez taking a one-year deal because the Lakers could potentially bring him back after that for a higher price. And he seems like he fits in pretty good with the team, and Disneyland is close by, and that's always a huge factor. But yeah, so all those things, I think KCP is the least likely of the bunch to come back, but I wouldn't say there's no chance that they re-sign him. It's still possible.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was going to say. I just think that KCP is the least likely to take that one-year contract, where guys like Lopez and, like you said, Isaiah Thomas are much more willing. But there's always that chance. You just never know what'll happen. But I don't think he's going to be back next year, but you just never know.
Okay, next one from @RyanSpencer1, who has sent in questions in the past, always does a great job. Kind of a multi-part question here. Says, name at least 6 Lakers that management should keep on the roster for next year. I think we can definitely do that. And 2, identify at least 3 areas of concern that the Lakers should work on in order to be playoff bound for next season. So I think we can kind of combine our powers here, Hannah. And let's just make our list of 6 here. I would have to assume Lonzo, Ingram, and Kuzma are on your list, right?
Yes, I was going to say Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma. I was going to say Josh Hart.
Okay, so there's 4.
I was going to say Julius Randle.
Yep, Randall Island.
And then what, like Lopez?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that 6th one is really the only one that becomes a real question mark, or any type of a question mark. I mean, yeah, you're looking at either Brook Lopez, maybe you could say Isaiah Thomas, you could say KCP. I mean, I guess because his contract's cheap, you could mention Ivica Zubac or Thomas Bryant, right? But I mean, I guess you can kind of maybe slot him down with the South Bay Lakers. So yeah, I guess I would go Brook Lopez for that 6th spot. I guess he would be, out of the 3 free agents they've got and everybody else on the team, I think he's the most crucial piece to bring back.
Yeah, I agree. And then, okay, so for the second part of that question, identify at least 3 areas of concern the Lakers should work on in order to be playoff bound for next season. My number 1 is going to be health. We have to be able to stay healthy. Number 2 is going to be free throw shooting. And number 3 is going to be getting consistent shooters.
Yeah, I think shooting has got to be near the top of the list, right? I mean, they are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. They are the worst free throw shooting teams in the league. So yeah, the shooting has got to improve. That's been a big issue for them, and so that's definitely something that Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka are going to have to work on over the summer. And that means bringing in some other pieces. Plus, hopefully, guys like Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma, all these young guys will continue to improve. So maybe some of the shooting will improve just naturally. You mentioned health. I mean, that's kind of tough to predict, but yeah, I mean, definitely that's something that they should continue working on. Hopefully, the training staff can keep the guys healthy. Another thing that that I was looking at for this team is I really think they need a backup point guard. I think that's a big one. I mean, I don't think you can rely on Tyler Ennis. I love Alex Caruso, but I don't know if he's the guy you just want to hand the keys to whenever Lonzo Ball is out. Maybe he is. I mean, you can make an argument. I would like it a lot better if he could shoot some threes, or at least at a higher percentage. But I think if you can find a real steady and true backup point guard, and that's if Isaiah Thomas is gone, if he ends up leaving, I think that's going to be a real key for this team is finding that backup one.
Yeah, no, Trevor, I'm not giving the keys to anything for Tyler Ennis or Alex Caruso. Definitely not. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Finding a nice backup point guard is extremely important, especially because, kind of going back to the health thing, obviously Lonzo's, in and out, and hopefully he'll be able to be consistently healthy, but you just, I guess, never know with him. So that's going to be very important for the Lakers moving forward, for sure.
All right, so let's move on to the final question, and it's @YLive4, which is a little ominous. YLIV4. It says, if the Lakers get Paul George, Randle, and LeBron, so if they manage, so I'm assuming in that scenario they are somehow trading Luol Deng because they would have to in order to free up the cap space. So maybe they've partnered with future picks or something of that nature, and we have moved Luol Deng's salary, and they managed to sign Paul George, Julius Randle, and LeBron. Is there any way for the Lakers to keep either KCP or Brook Lopez? I would think Brook Lopez has got to be the priority there because Paul George would take up just about all of KCP's minutes at the 2, you'd have to assume in that scenario. So let's assume they're going for Brook Lopez. Is there a way that they would keep them? I guess first, Hannah, let me ask you, is that your opinion too, that if you could keep one of those two and those are the guys you're adding Paul George, Randle, and LeBron, you would side with me and say, yes, go for Brook Lopez instead of KCP?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because, Paul George would totally slide up in there and take the place for KCP, which is what I really hope happens in the first place. So I don't know if we would be able to bring in Lopez, though, because I don't know if we would have enough money to bring him back. It would just depend. This
is something that Eric Pincus, actually from Bleacher Report, talked about on this show a few months ago when he was on. There is actually a way. There's a room exception that they could use. And they'd give him basically this mid-level exception, and they could give it to him for 1 year, hang on to his bird rights, and then sign him for more the following year. So he would have to get, as I recall, it was about $4 million or so. He's making over $20 million this season, so it'd be a stiff pay cut for Brook Lopez. But they could sign him to that on a 1-year deal, or maybe a 1+1 with a player option in the second year, and then they could bring him back and sign him, go over the cap by more to sign him to an even bigger deal the following season. It would take Brook Lopez trusting the Lakers quite a bit to take that kind of an offer, that a bigger deal would be coming in the future. But it's still, if he was willing to play ball, there is a possibility of that happening. It's also possible that there's just not that much money out there this summer. I mean, well, we know there's not that much, but that the center market is just so saturated with a number of different players that are going to be there. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins and DeAndre Jordan, and maybe a trade for Hassan Whiteside might be available. You've got guys like Nerlens Noel and players like that are out there on the market. So it's possible that Brook Lopez doesn't see a whole lot of love when he enters free agency this summer. So that's something to keep an eye on too. So maybe he's willing to do something like that. But yes, technically it's possible. It's just a little bit tricky. But man, it sure would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I guess in that situation, if Brook Lopez is willing to take that much of a pay cut, maybe because he just wants to play with LeBron and win a championship or something, you never know. It would definitely be nice to see, but I don't know if a player who's making over $20 million is going to want to take that big of a pay cut. Maybe because he loves Disneyland so much, you never know.
Hey, the Disneyland factor is real with Brook Lopez, but I don't. See, it's a big pay cut, but nobody's paying him $20 million this summer.
Oh, yeah,
that's not going to happen.
That's like a huge, huge pay cut.
Yeah, I'm thinking more, somewhere in the 10 million range. Maybe a team will give him something like that. I guess the question is the years. And then how much does it mean to him being back in Southern California? I mean, this is a guy who grew up in Southern California. So does it mean a lot to him to be part of this Lakers team and part of an offense that seems to really fit his style? Is that something that's important to him? Because maybe that's something that they can make work out. He did actually just turn 30 today. So he's 30 years old now. That's not great for a big lumbering athlete like Brook Lopez. But if the Lakers are willing to commit to him, I wouldn't commit 4 years to him, certainly. I don't think I would go that far. But if they're willing to commit a few years to him and he's willing to have a little bit of trust in him, maybe they can make something like that work because, man, that would be a heck of a lineup. I mean, imagine that if you had Lonzo Ball at the 1, Paul George at the 2, Brandon Ingram at the 3, and then you've got, well, man, I guess you run into a little bit of a crunch there. Then you've got Randle at the 4, and you've got Brook Lopez at the 5, and then where's LeBron? Obviously, LeBron's coming in there somewhere, so maybe Ingram comes off the bench and LeBron is the 3? I don't know, but I know that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, but see, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want LeBron to come is because I don't want Ingram to have to come off the bench. I don't want, I understand that's a little crazy to say, but just if LeBron comes to Lakers, it's just going to be 150% LeBron. And I don't really want that for, Brandon Ingram. But, I mean, I guess in terms of the Brook Lopez thing, if he's willing to take that pay cut and he wants to stay, then I'm fine with giving him, 2 years for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's willing to lock up on a longer term deal, or at least on a couple of seasons at a cheaper rate, cool. Would definitely take him. I think he's been a great fit, especially with Julius Randle. People complain about his rebounding all the time, but if you watch him, he boxes out so other people can grab boards. No, he's not a good rebounder by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not all just him being a bad rebounder. It's kind of just strategically what he's doing. The Lakers have a lot of guards who dive down and rebound, and Julius Randle does as well. And really, it's better for the Lakers if someone else gets the rebound, because everyone else out on the floor in just about every scenario for the Lakers, unless he's playing with next to Ivica Zubac, which actually happened when they were really short on players, but everyone else on the floor is empowered to grab and go. If Kyle Kuzma grabs the board, he pushes it up the floor himself. Randall does that. Lonzo Ball does that, right? All these other guys will do that. So Brook Lopez not rebounding all that well isn't that big of a concern, because I don't want Brook Lopez to get the rebound anyway, because he's got to find an outlet, whereas everybody else can just charge down the floor and start the fast break. But anyway, that's my tangent on Brook Lopez. So Hannah, any parting thoughts before we get out of here? Because I think we answered that question fairly well.
Yeah, no, just thank you all so much for sending in the questions. These are great questions again, and hopefully the Lakers could, get some of their guys back, and we can just kind of try to finish this season. I know it's going to be hard to win some of these hard games, but hopefully at least finish this season with a lot of energy and a lot of effort, so we can go into this offseason trying to get a big superstar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is going to be a huge summer for the Lakers. We got plenty of time to talk about it, but my goodness, I mean, so much going on. Paul George, LeBron James, all these major free agents, and Magic Johnson getting in the room, getting to pitch these guys. You never know what's going to happen. It's going to be an exciting summer for the Lakers. And of course, as you said, I mean, the season isn't even over yet. The Lakers can still pull off some big victories. I mean, man, if they get a win over the Houston Rockets, I don't care if James Harden doesn't play, Chris Paul doesn't play, if they're resting these guys, I don't care. If you get a win over the Houston Rockets, that's a feather in your cap any way you slice it. So yeah, if the Lakers can pick up a win because the team's resting players or whatever, maybe they just come out and shock the world and beat somebody, then I'll certainly take it and head into the offseason on a positive note. Well, Hannah, I want to say thank you, as always, for coming on here and joining me. Guys, don't forget to head over onto Twitter and check out Hannah's Twitter feed. You go to @Hannah_Kulik. Always a great place for Lakers fans and fitness people.
Yes, always about the fitness. Thank you so much for having me, Trevor. I always love coming on and talking all things Lakers with you.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up for today. Guys, we'll be back next Monday with a new show. Don't forget, head over to LakersNation.com for all the latest breaking Lakers news. And, of course, please rate, review, and subscribe to this show on iTunes. See ya.